back to my channel. I'm James, and today we're going to be discussing a classic war film that I really enjoyed. Now, this review should be about a week early before release date. I got this in about a week and a half before the release date, and I've been working on this over the last week and a half to do all of my exclusive image comparisons, compile all my testing data, and get this review out early for all of you. So this should be out quite a little while before the release date here for all of you to determine if this is something you're going to want to pick up and add to your collection or buy. So I'm excited to announce we're going to deep dive into Platoon on 4K Ultra HD. And this is the brand new Shout Select release of Platoon on 4K Ultra HD. Now, there is a lot of interesting things, some bad and some good I discovered when I went through all of my exclusive testing on this, comparing this to the previous Blu-ray release from Shout Factory that was released on Blu-ray from 2018. And there's a lot of things that we've got to cover in this. Now, if you haven't done so already, make sure to go down and give this video a like, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you never miss out on any of this early or exclusive content that I release here on my YouTube channel. Now we're going to go through and do all my exclusive image comparisons between this and the previous Blu-ray release from Shout Factory. I'm going to tell you all of the things I discovered through my testing, and then at the end I always wrap it up with my review score. That tells you the overall quality of this in comparison to hundreds of other 4Ks and Blu-rays I've reviewed over the years. So that way you know how this compares to other ones that you've bought, and if this is something that you should really spend your money on and upgrade to if you own any of the previous Blu-ray releases. Now, as always, I will have these linked in the description section right below this video and as a pinned comment in the comment section. That takes you straight out to Amazon when you click on that, and I've made it nice and easy for all of you. So if after you get done watching my review score and hearing all of my testing data, you decide you want to pick up and buy this, or you want to pick up and buy the previous Blu-ray editions, I will have all of them linked down below either in the description section or as a pinned comment in the comments section. Now we're gonna start off with here with the 2018 Shout Factory Steelbook Blu-ray release that they released. Now the reason we're starting off with this screenshot is so that way you kind of understand in comparison where we're coming from. On the 2018 Blu-ray release by Shout Factory, there was a lot of things present and inherent in that had issues. For example, it had a very waxy overall appearance to it. Overall, it had DNR on it, did have some compression issues and things like that. But the biggest, basically, thing that stood out in it was so overly waxy, there was no film grain present that you could really see it all through the entire film. But overall, it was just a really, really waxy and so soft of an appearance for that film that it really lost a lot of detail overall in that. Now, in comparison to the new 4K Ultra HD release from Shout Factory and their Shout Select line, I am happy to say that it is an improvement, as you probably noticed in the comparisons above. On the new 4K Ultra HD release, there is image improvement, as far as you can actually see some film grain throughout it. Now I am going to touch on something that it seems like no matter how many times I touch on it in hundreds of videos, I still get comments and questions almost every single one of these 4K versus Blu-ray image comparisons that I do. If you have motion smoothing or motion enhancing features on your TV enabled, and there's a lot of them, every single TV manufacturer has them, and they usually come automatically enabled on your TV. They can be game mode enhancers, motion smoothing, frame rate enhancers. There's a million different names they use for those. If you have those equipped and they're already on your TV anyways, and you haven't gone in and turned them off, you might not notice film grain on a lot of 4K Ultra HD releases anyways, because it's scrubbing them out for you anyways. So you do need to make sure that, and I always suggest having your TVs professionally calibrated, especially with 4Ks. It's very, very important and makes a big, big difference on what you see with 4Ks, way more so than what you ever had with Blu-rays to begin with, because there's so much more detail present on these 4Ks. So those smoothing and motion enhancing scrub it clean, kind of like DNR did, but in a slightly different way. It takes it out anyway so that you wouldn't see the film grain that's present on it anyways. But good news is there is some film grain present now on the 4K Ultra HD release. But I will say it is light, and here's what I mean by that. when you sit down and go side by side, so if you own the previous Blu-ray release and you put it in, even if you own the previous one that was before Shout Factories, where they kind of used too much DNR compared to the previous Blu-ray that did look better technically than even what Shout Factories did at that time, there was things that were different between them. The original Blu-ray before Shout Factories that you see above here had really bad color grading. So that's where you had levels of differences between them. The color grading was much better on Shout Factories, but as you can see on their new 4K, the color grading goes to a whole new level. The color grading that they did on this for the new HDR10 and the Dolby Vision that is on this does look leaps and bounds above and better than both previous Blu-ray releases that were ever released before. Both Shouts and the previous one that was before Shouts. Hands down, the new color grading on this is really, really nice looking. So that was a nice improvement that the 4K Ultra HD had in it. Was the HDR10 and that Dolby Vision brought a lot more life to the picture that was needed in it than any of the previous Blu-ray releases. But going back to that film grain, the one thing you will notice is it is very light on this. So that does tell me there was a little bit of DNR still present on this 4K Ultra HD release, which will affect my review score later on. So when we get to the end, make sure you stick around for that so you kind of get where this fits in the realm of all the reviews and comparisons I've done over the years. But there is some slight DNR still present on this 4K Ultra HD, but it's nowhere near the level of what they had in that previous Blu-ray release. So the nice thing is when you switch between the two of them, you will see a healthy improvement in the image. And the image on this, even before this 2018 Blu-ray from Shout Factory, comparing it to that, this still even looks better than that simply because the new color grading is so much better. And this is a native 4K 2160p. So you do get quite a bit more life to the image, details. You can see much more background details. Overall, the 4K image on this does look pleasingly more surprisingly better than what you had on either of those before. But the bad news is it could have looked so much better if there was simply zero DNR used at all and they would have left all of the film grain. It would have been a lot heavier of a film grain, whereas right now it's just a very light film grain over it. But at least I guess we got the film grain that was missing from the previous Shout Factory one altogether. So it is an improvement in that sense of it, just only levels of improvement. Now, if you haven't done so already, make sure to go down and give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and the bell notification. Now, directly from Shout Factory, this is a director-approved 4K scan that they did for this release. Now, Oliver Stone's Platoon is one of those films that is very gritty. It's a very down-to-earth war film about Vietnam, and I enjoy it. It does really get you into kind of the bunkers, the dirt, the filth with the platoon, and you're really going into battle with them, and it is one of those war films that I really enjoy, that if you haven't seen it before, it is something that's a recommended film in and of itself for you to watch. Now, talking about some big changes between the previous Blu-ray. On the previous 2018 Blu-ray, it had a rough average bitrate of right around 31 megabits per second. That's what your rough average bitrate was on that. Well, after my testing and going through this, I do have some good news to share about this 4K release. The average bitrate on this new 4K Ultra HD release was a very healthy, right around 90 megabits per second. And it was very nice and a very high bit rate throughout almost the entire film that averaged around that mid 90s there. It was nice. I enjoyed it. I thought overall that added to the film's stability throughout it. And you could tell when watching it, a lot of the times when the bit rates are really high on these 4Ks, it does help the image just be more stable throughout and just overall look a lot better. So you can notice an overall improvement in that also over the previous Blu-rays, because the bitrate on this was a very high and very healthy bitrate. Now, talking about the audio differences between the previous Blu-ray release and this one, I can tell you audio-wise, you get the same audio quality that I could tell from both releases. So whether you have the Shout one or this one, you get the same audio options. It's an English DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 and a 2.0 stereo on that same English DTS HD. So the nice thing is you do get both audio mixes and they do sound good. I'm not going to say they're Atmos or amazing quality, but you do have good sound with the bass and things like that. And it does go around the room semi-nicely. It's just not going to be Atmos or 7.1. But for those of you that are audio purists that want that original audio mix, it is included on this nicely with that 2.0 stereo mix. So you do get that option if you want to hear it the original way. That is a nice thing about this and what was previously on Shout Factory's 2018 release, because they included that for the first time that was never on the Blu-ray release before Shout Factory's one. Now the film is presented in its original aspect ratio as well, 1.85 to 1. They didn't cut it down, edit it down, change that in any shape or form, so that's good news for this. The film is rated R though, and it did come out in 1986. So on the R rating, I will point out it does have extreme violence and language throughout it. So you have to understand that it is a war film. I mean, Saving Private Ryan was the same way. And as most of you know that have watched a lot of these war films, you really know what you're going in for. They're trying to go for realism here to give you the ultimate effect of war, just like with Saving Private Ryan and a lot of those war films. And I think it's well done. And that is where I do feel like the rated R, I wouldn't want it to be PG-13 or PG, because it's not a kid's subject matter. It really is an adult subject matter about showing the horrors of war and what people really go through, just like in Vietnam, what they went through and experienced. The film does have an overall good pace to it as well. It's about 120 minutes and it is good paced and it moves along throughout the story and you really get to know each character. I think they're fleshed out well without carrying on too long. So I do think that enhanced and added to Oliver Stone's Platoon, like the overall feel of the film. Now, showing you what you get in this. You get a really nice slipcover. It says Collector's Edition. It says Platoon on the side with number 137 from Shout Select. Talks about special features on this as well. And the good news is it does say Dolby Vision on the back here, and it does include Dolby Vision. And the Dolby Vision between the HDR10 and the Dolby Vision transfers, I didn't notice anything too heavy between them that showed difference between like the color grading or things like that that made one stand out drastically ahead of the other. There have been times where Dolby Vision looks better or HDR10 looks better in other releases, but in this one, I am happy to announce both the HDR10 and Dolby Vision represented a very similar image and were both very good looking, as you can see in those images above. That HDR presentation really brings a whole lot of depth and life to that image that was never present on any of the previous Blu-ray releases that kind of had a more, like I said, more hazy appearance in this or duller look. And then even the previous Blu-ray that was before this, it also had a more duller color appearance that just kind of gave it an overall grayed out look. That's gone in this because of that new color grading. It does look really good in that color sense. Now, getting inside here, there is no reversible cover, but I do like the cover artwork they used. And then when you get inside here, you do get your two discs. And this is your Platoon Shout Select. This is your Blu-ray disc, which the Blu-ray I did test as I exclusively always do, and it is Region A locked, as is mostly part of the course for most of Shout Factory's releases anyways. But I'll always test things that I always exclusively have regardless. So this is Region A locked. The 4K though is region free. So those of you that live worldwide that want to experience this on 4K, good news is you will be able to enjoy the 4K Ultra HD release. No region locking, it'll play anywhere worldwide. And as I said, I did post those links from Amazon for you to import this to any country worldwide. Right below in the description section or as a pinned comment, you click on those, it takes you straight out to Amazon. It ships to anywhere worldwide. That's at no extra cost. And it does help to support this YouTube channel just a tiny bit. So make sure if after you get done watching this, you are gonna pick up and buy this, make sure to click through one of those links down in the description section or as a pinned comment below. So overall, for the new Platoon Shout Factory 4K Ultra HD release, I was torn. I really went back and forth for a while on my review score for this, and here's why I struggled with it. I don't like DNR at all, even if it's lightly used, and yeah, they left some of the film grain in it for this so you could see it more present in it, so it did leave more detail than what the previous Blu-ray had. But I don't like DNR at all. And that's where I struggled with it, because I say to myself, okay, it is levels of improvement above the previous Blu-ray releases, both of them. Even if you had the previous Blu-ray before that, yeah, you could see more film grain on that. But in comparison to this, I think they're close film grain wise, but the color grading on this is so much better with the Dolby Vision and HDR10 that it blew out that first Blu-ray. Then you get to here, obviously, the Shout Select 2018 Blu-ray. That's the one that had the most waxy appearance of all of them. That one by far had so much DNR applied to it that it just, everything was really hazy and waxy and dull looking overall as far as like just their faces and details, which is what you can see in those images above. So this is an improvement over both of those in different areas. Do I think it could have been so much better? Yes. I think if they would have just not done any slight, even little bit of DNR that they used on the 4K, it would have been an amazing, outstanding 4K. So getting to my review score for Platoon on 4K Ultra HD, this gets an 8.0. It really couldn't get more than that. I really wanted it to be a high 8, a 9, up to the 10s, but it's just not at that level. And if you followed me for years on this YouTube channel, I'll always be honest and upfront with all of you. And I did enjoy it. Do I think that it's worth buying? Yes. I enjoy the film, so it does look better in different ways than both of the previous Blu-ray releases in different ways. But it's only a good release. Not amazing, not outstanding, not blow your socks off best 4K that's ever come out, but it's better than some of the previous Blu-ray releases, so it gets an 8, but not anything more than that. Can't get an 8.1 or above because it's just right at that level. It's good, it's not amazing, it's not outstanding. I really like the film, and it does look decent, and that's where I said if you like the film anyways and you do like it, it is levels of improvement, just not huge levels of improvement. And that's why I'm trying to get you to understand, so that way you don't go into it thinking, oh man, it's going to be an outstanding, kind of like the Star Trek reviews I recently did. If you haven't checked those out, those were such huge improvements. The film grain was so nicely done on them, everything like that. This has the film grain, it's just very light because they still used a light level of DNR on it that removed a certain percentage of film grain. Can't tell you how much that percentage is, but I can tell you that it's just not as much film grain as what should have been present for what this was filmed on. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at there, though it is director approved. So my understanding is that's why I struggled with it too, because this does seem to be what Oliver Stone wanted it to look like. So again, how are we to say, hey, this is wrong necessarily if that's what he wanted it to look like and he approved it? He's the director in the first place that approved this. So that's where I said it's an 8.0 because it's right in that spot where for me it's a sticky subject because I don't like DNR and there is a slight amount, but it looks nothing like that previous Blu-ray and does look better and is an improvement in different areas above both those. So that's kind of where this falls into this. Let me know in the comments section below if you're going to pick this up and add this to your collection. If you're excited about this release, make sure to go down and use those links in the description section or as a pinned comment if you decide you're going to buy this. That takes you straight out to Amazon, and it does help to support this channel and support the creation of these videos just a tiny bit, and that's at no extra charge to you. They don't charge you anything extra for clicking through those links. Let me know how much you enjoyed Platoon as a movie as well, if that's one of those things that you're just excited and thrilled because it's on 4K. It was something I enjoyed. I am glad to have it in my 4K collection. Even though this wasn't sent to me for review from Shout Factory, I had to go out and buy this with my own money to get this in. It was nice that I did get it in early though for review, but it is one of those things I'm still glad I added it to my collection because compared to the previous Blu-rays, and I'm going to sell those off and not have those anymore, it is nice little bits of improvement. And I'll take any improvement I can just because I loved this film so much. It's nice that it is better looking in certain areas. If you enjoy all of the hard work that I put into every single one of these 4K versus Blu-ray image comparison reviews, make sure to join my Collector's VIP Club. That's the best way possible to support the creation of every single one of these videos. I'm not paid by anybody. I'm not sponsored by anybody. The only way I can continue to constantly create all of this content for all of you is through all of you, my viewers' support. So make sure if you enjoy all this content that I work hard constantly to create for all of you, make sure to join my Collector's VIP Club or give a super thanks through the super thanks button down below. Even if you can only give $1 or $2 on each video, that goes straight back into this YouTube channel and helps support every single one of these videos that I create. They're very expensive and very time consuming for me to pull all the data off of the disc, to test all of these, and do these exclusive reviews that nobody else wants to do. And it's because they cost so much money for the software and the time that I have to take to put behind every single one of these videos. And that VIP club costs you less than the cost of a cup of coffee each month to support this channel and really make a difference in the creation of all of these exclusive reviews that I create. So please consider supporting this channel and joining my VIP club. If you haven't done so already, make sure to give this video a like, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. I had a fun time with this one today. As always, I hope all of you have a blessed day, and I've always got something new and exciting coming out very soon.